Thanks, Mike. Wow, it's fantastic to see people out like this. It's amazing. Twice in one day I had our accepted students come to campus, so I hate Zoom anymore. But what a pleasure to be here. This is our 7th annual graduation ceremony. And as I reflect back, it's amazing how far medical education has come. Just 9 short years ago, there were no students here. There were no residents. There was no faculty. Arnothealth was not a teaching health system at all. Remarkably, since that time, we progressed to 126 residents, a medical school with 500 students, and an ever-growing contribution with practitioners in specialties, many that Arnott's hired, primary care, and the graduate medical education program has just steadily improved under the leadership of Dr. Edwards and now Dr. Witt. But as Mike said, developing and managing a GME program in a small health system, it's not easy. We don't have a lot of resources. We don't have a lot of money, But fortunately, we have unwavering support from our administration, namely the board of directors and Jonathan Lawrence, our CEO, because none of it works without that. Because the default answer, you see, is always no. It's always no. We can't. We can, and we have. So we're incredible and very thankful to have that. The commitment of a faculty to take on the arduous task of training you guys. It's very difficult to train physicians, and many of them hadn't done it a whole lot before, but now they're all experts. And they bought into the vision that, we can make a difference. And GME is improving healthcare in this community, patient by patient, day by day, and year by year. And I see it. I see it when I call a specialist, and I call Gary Belvano, who was my student, and I'm calling Gary for advice on GI. It's almost surreal. I'm like, Gary, can you figure this out with this patient? It's wonderful, and all of us experience that every single day. But you all enter practice. It's unprecedented times in this post-COVID era. Literally everything has changed. Last week I had a conversation with a guy who was involved in accreditation. He goes, well, Rich, none of COVID affected our practices. We were unaffected by it. I said, well, that's just plain nonsense. I used a few expletives, but the reality is this entire world is reshaped. It's all different now. Our entire paradigm is different because of COVID. Going forward, your entire practice is different because of COVID. We don't know exactly how that's going to play out, but here's what I know. Here's what I know. Interpersonal relationships now matter more than anything. Forget about this Zoom crap. We missed out on everything with Zoom. And there's a role for telemedicine. It won't replace us. It won't replace us at all. It seemed pretty cool initially we could do this, but your patients want to interact with you. They actually want to come in. They want you to put your hand on their shoulder. Number 2, psychological and psychiatric conditions and addiction are out of control. It's imploded. The whole thing is completely out of control to unprecedented levels we've never seen before. And they're going to remain there because with COVID, they cut services that won't necessarily be back. People aren't available. So these issues are there with all of our patients. We must address them. Whether you're a surgeon, whether you're a fellow in GI, these conditions are there and they affect people's health. So every complaint, be it medical, it has a somatic psychological component. That's not just the family docking to me. I urge you, be sensitive to that. It's out there. Our patients need this. We have to be cognizant of that. And addiction. Many patients suffer, struggle silently. Finally, you're all going to join healthcare systems most likely. That's what the market is forcing right now. You'll be employees. Wow, we'll get 6 weeks vacation. We'll get days off. It's 9 to 5. I want you to remember one thing, finally. As a physician, you're not an employee to your patient. Please just forget about that. You're not an employee. You're their doctor. That relationship is sacrosanct. It's a unique position that only physicians play with their patients. Despite everything, EMR, all of the regulations, we hold this sacrosanct position with our patients. Hold that sacred to your heart. But you know what? What does it mean in reality? What does it mean? It means when your patient calls and you're busy, you're double booked, you don't say no, you say bring them in. You say come in, I want to see you, of course, because you care about them. It means when they're late, which our patients at Eastside frequently are, you see them. You don't say go home, reschedule. You don't know if they walked. You don't know if their Medicaid cab didn't show up. You don't know if they don't have any transportation. But you see them. And it means that every interaction with your patient, you value the sanctity of that relationship. You know, a famous psychiatrist, F. Scott Peck, once said, you should love your patients. Okay, parenthetically, I think that has value, but be careful with the language we use in the Me Too era. But the point is, you demonstrate love, that you care that much towards your patients. It's really very, very critical. I mean, you know, I'm not by any stretch Einstein. I have many, many faults, many more faults than strengths. But patients who've seen me for 30 years because they think I care. Well, Terry cares about me. He might screw up sometime. Maybe he doesn't always make the right, but he cares about me and he'll follow up. Too much of what I'm seeing today in medicine, we have a tendency to interact with their patients as if they're transactions. I'm like purchasing something from Amazon, a quick click, or Walmart. Your patient interaction is not transactional, all right? In reality, the only way any of this works is if you have a relationship with your patient, not simply transactional. You must develop a genuine relationship with your patients, and you must show them that you care. And I can't stress that enough to all of you. So look, I know you've been taught the essentials. You can diagnose hypertension. You can treat diabetes. You can do procedures, surgeons. You can take out the appendix. You can recognize cancers. But the most important thing that I want you to take out of your training here is the humanism from these physicians you've learned from, your faculty, because they're all practitioners. They've all done this for years. And the demonstration of the critical characteristic that makes you a great physician and impactful. It doesn't matter what you tell them. You need your appendix out. You need this. If they don't like you, if they think you're pompous, they're not going to do it. They're not going to stop smoking. To be impactful as a physician, you have to demonstrate empathy. And I know you've all learned that here from our fine faculty. So as you all join your practices, treat every single encounter not as a contraction, not as a transactional. This is done. I'm done at 5. I'm out of here. I'm going wherever. But as the beginning of a lifelong relationship with your patients. And for that, and that alone will make you effective as a physician. And take that with you every single encounter that you have with a patient. So, you know, I wish you all great success in your practice. You're always going to be a product of Arnott, okay? You're part of us, you like it or not, you're part of Arnothealth. We trained you. We trained you. So every faculty member is part of you that has ever shared their collective wisdom. You'll remember that with a patient. Oh, yeah, Dr. Mazza told me that. I learned that. Dr. Martinez told me that. Dr. Sada. Every nurse or staff member that has collaborated with you on patient care has taught you how to be a doctor. And finally, what we always have to be most thankful for is every patient that has ever given you the privilege to care for them has taught you. We can't ever forget that. So look, Arnothealth has molded you to the physician you are today. We are incredibly proud of you. So I wish you all good luck and Godspeed to all of you. Do well. Congratulations.